Hi everyone, welcome to Manager IQ's Manager Skills Corner podcast. Manager IQ's mission is to provide an online space where managers can access all the resources, learnings and tools to build their manager toolkit, and also to provide you with a community of managers to lean on. This podcast is designed to bring experts in specific areas of management to share their knowledge and experience with the Manager IQ community. We share tips and tricks which you can implement into your management practice. For more information about Manager IQ and our products, check out our website www.manageriq.com. Now, let's check out today's episode. Today, I am very, very excited to have Kinsey Li here, who's a Senior Manager of HR Data Analytics at EY London. And me and Kinsey have had the very fortunate experience of working together in the past. And Kinsey, I see you all over social media at the moment doing very exciting things, but I might pass over to you to have a little bit of a deeper introduction to who you are and your passions in this area.
Thanks for having me, Lex. And it's so good to join this wonderful initiative. And I hope I can be of use, right? So I'm currently a senior manager in EY London's HR analytics team, and my background's in HR analytics and HR consulting. And I think my passion, when you talk about it, I'm very passionate about this, but it's really about unleashing the power of people data. When we think about it, organizations typically have been pretty used to making decisions based on financial data. That's because people data are really hard to measure. People are more complex than assets, for example. But nowadays, with emerging technology like AI, like big data, it's making people data, behavioral data, more and more accessible for us as HR professionals. So how can we as HR professionals and as business professionals leverage that behavioral data to make more people-centric strategies? That's where my passion is.
Describe, Kinsey, a little bit around what is data and what is analytics. So we're just clear that everyone, as we go through this podcast, we're all on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. So you always hear data analytics combined together, right? And I think if we are to describe data and analytics together as a word, what I would say data and analytics will be the art and science of translating information into stories to enable action, right? So that's when we talk about data analytics together. But if we are to define them separately, data is simply information. Right? So data can be in many different types, even your thoughts. Recently, I've been doing this activity where I'm analyzing a lot of my thoughts as if they are data. And if you start to kind of take note of all the thoughts that's coming up in your mind, you'll realize that those information are data themselves. And then doing analysis on top of that data is then trying to group them, trying to pivot them to see things in a particular way so that all these information start to make sense. Right. So that's the difference between data and analytics. Data is simply information that doesn't mean anything, where analysis or analytics enable the data to become something that's more meaningful.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic to understand. And once again, the level of, I guess, infrastructure you have in your organization with around technology or capability will actually help you understand, well, what data you have, and then therefore how you are able to analyze it to tell those stories and to make those decisions. And from your perspective, I guess, why do you think it's important for managers to, maybe they don't have to necessarily need to know how to analyze themselves, but I guess how they use and understand, data and how powerful it can be in analytics?
I think from as any kind of manager, people manager, or if you're a manager of a portfolio, manager of a product, it's always important. And I'll talk about the importance in two different aspects: internal within the team, or if you're looking after like a portfolio product within the product, and external, right? So when you think about externally, like what you just said, Lex, when you are data driven, when you are building reports and analyzing findings to be able to support return on investment, for example, these will enable you to have the credibility as a manager to be able to back whatever claims that you are going to have. So externally, it gives you credibility. Where internally, within the team or within the product, what it enables you to do is from it. I'll talk about this from the perspective of hypothesis-driven thinking, right? So there are many different types of managers, and a lot of the times, what I observe in managers that require a lot of improvement is that they always have a very fixed mindset, right? And by fixed mindset, I mean whatever I'm proposing, I'm right. There's no further debate. If there is any further debate, I'll feel very challenged. I'll feel insecure, and I'll react to it. Where a manager with growth mindset is always open up to data. So for your own team internally, I think learning more about data analytics and having the skill of data analytics, what it actually shows is that you are running the team, or you're running your product with an open mind. You are willing to be challenged by more data or more information coming in, and hence your team will trust you more as a result of that. So internally, I would say it would build trust, because you show that whatever decision that you're about to make, it's not fixed. It's not based on ego. It's based on the data that you're actively collecting, and the new data that you're actively learning. So that builds trust, and externally it builds credibility. So trust and credibility, that would be the two key things.
Yeah, that's super interesting what you say there. And I think as well, from my experience, I just think about when you're thinking about your business strategy, and then you've got your team, and then how you're then able to ensure that your team are aligned to the strategy. You can use, your data and analytics to, say how far or, close you are to meeting that strategy. So I think it's really good for strategy management, or I guess progress towards your strategy. But also what I think I've used a lot in the past is to actually help me with my business case. So say I'm thinking about doing something new, or thinking about that I need more resources, or I need to change the team up because some people are maybe got too much going on versus others who might have a little bit more capacity. To be able to weave in the data points, or to weave in that analytics story, I've been able to then say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what I am understanding from the information that I've got, and this is where I'd like to see us go. And then we're able to, have a great conversation about it. But it's been very rare that if I've set up my business case, particularly for leaders, when I'm asking for resources with a data and analytics, I guess, basis to it, that I've been told no.
Yeah.
So that's powerful, So, and one thing that I do know is that we always talk about in Manager IQ, that the manager is the meat in the sandwich between their people and upper management. So you're able to then easily tell a story to upper management around where I guess your team are at using the analytics, and then vice versa. You're then able to then tell your people about where they are progressing, or how close they are to meeting strategic goals or their own goals, or whatever it is, using information. So I do think it is quite powerful. But one thing I think, Kinsey, you might experience is people are kind of scared, of it, and shy away from it a little bit. I think less so now than maybe 10 years ago. I think the technology has come in such a long way that information and data is becoming so much more accessible and so forth. But I guess from your perspective, what are some of the common barriers that you might see that people face in getting across or using data and analytics?
Right. So the barriers I've seen, to be honest, I'm going to mention this word again. It's ego.
Okay.
That is a barrier, because when people think they are right, and people already have a fixed opinion towards what the outcome might be, and they're not willing to change their mind, that's where they end up getting really attached to the analysis result. Where if with the manager that's not as ego driven and are more open to new discoveries, data challenges that's coming in, that way the manager will be able to tell a story while not getting offended, or not getting getting shaken by the knockback, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
I think back then, a few years ago, when we tried to develop people's capability in data analytics, we always talked about this concept of having a consultative mindset, not walking in with a particular conclusion in mind. We're walking in from the lens of a consultant, ask questions, actively listen, right? And always be open to the idea that there might be more data out there. And I assume, Lex, when you go into these meetings, you never walk in with no challenges.
No.
The fact that you are always able to handle the challenges professionally and not shake when the challenges comes through, I think that's a skill by itself, because a lot of the fear, we might think the fear comes from the lack of technical skills, or people feel like they don't have enough technical skills, but a lot of the times it's them that's stopping themselves.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and I guess, like you say, like, it's challenging yourself around, what does having a consulting mindset mean, and also having, like, like that growth mindset. I think from my experience as well, some of the things that I have seen is, people maybe not sharing information as widely as what they could. So actually, having more eyes on information, I think, will help you have that diversity of thought that comes into, the story that is told. And different people get excited about different things, so if you're able to then, share that information across your team, across different teams, then you're able to weave a much broader picture. Say if you do it across teams, or you're able to say, actually, that's a point that kind of comes up for us as well. And then you're able to then combine the power of a couple of teams, and then that can even be more powerful. So I do think one of the challenges that I've seen in the past is the fact that people don't share the information for whatever reason. I also think that one of the key things that I've always enjoyed, and I think it was a point of difference, particularly in my junior career, is that I was trained, so I was very fortunate that a leader of mine said, I'm going to invest in you, and sent me on a 5-day Excel course. And I use those skill sets now, like, I guess, less so as you go up, because, we obviously created an analytics service offering, so I didn't have to do it anymore. But I think, as well as, like, being able to identify that there is a need, and there's a need to either train people, or there's a need to get some sort of infrastructure in so that you're able to get that data and analytics, I think will help. There are consultants that go out there that can create, models for you in Excel, to keep it simple if you don't have, some infrastructure in there, with regards to technology. So I think that's another thing, being able as a manager to identify that there is a need to pull information, and, is there a way that we can train someone to do it, or is there a way that we can get in some of the expertise to do it for us and train us up on it. So I think that that's another opportunity for people to kind of consider that even if you don't have it now, you can get it. And it will be a investment that it will come back on you tenfold over and over again each year. And as soon as you've got that building block, it opens it up to the next building block. We created the HR data analytics service offering here in Oceania EY, a few years ago. And at that point in time, there's, what the level of maturity in the organization with regards to, this people-led, I guess, decision-making was at a certain level. And we were able to then kind of, I guess, expedite it a bit. Do you want to talk a little bit about that experience, just to give people a bit of context around what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've joined EY Oceania 4 years ago now, 4 years and a bit ago. And the goal of that role was to working directly with yourself, Lex, and a global team to build a people analytics offering that's never existed before, or existed in multiple different pockets, but never officially set up as a product offering, right? So what we were able to do together was to build the 12-month people analytics roadmap, and as a result of the roadmap that we were able to deliver, we solidified the people analytics function within the region and enabled it to carry out until today. I believe today it still exists, right? And from a analytics maturity perspective, I would say when I first walk in, we are very much focused on the descriptive analytics, and even the descriptive analytics are very scattered. So different teams kind of do different things. So what we were able to do is to promote as well as build some centralized offerings to unify the understanding of a lot of people metrics. And we were also able to explore a lot of emerging technologies when it comes to data analytics. So hopefully what we did 3-4 years ago was able to help the Oceania people professionals getting better at analytics.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as well as, for managers who are listening to this on their phones or however you're listening to it, what we had in the past and what I've had in prior organizations is that you have a few people who might be passionate at Excel or have taken a little bit of an interest in it. So they tend to pull together some reports and then use pivots and are able to, pull some graphs together to get some information. And now you're right, there's a bit more technology now, and a lot of organizations do have some form of financial technology or HR technology that is able to pull information out. So that's great that when they're able to do that. However, what we identified is that more effort and thinking and strategy needed to be put in place around how you pull all the information together, both people, finance, ops data, to be able to then tell a story, paint a picture, and then from that be able to make the decisions. And I must say that you're right, the level of maturity is different in different organizations. But even if you're a small organization or a large organization, you do have data. And, and able to access that data is the first step. And automate it, I guess, as much as you can so that you don't necessarily have to spend too much time doing it. But once you start to recognize what you have available, how you can get it, how you can then I want to say manipulate it. It always sounds like such a bad word, but I mean it in a positive way. How you're able to review, analyze it, to be able to tell that story, to then make decisions is going to be very powerful for you as a manager to be able to then say, how's your team doing? Like how busy are they? How productive are they? How much utilization or how much time do they still have? And then one of the biggest things that I find the most powerful is if I'm able to say those specific things, it's so much easier to ask for more resources or to ask for extended deadlines or to indicate what the impact of certain decisions might have on your people, your products, your services, whatever it might be. So I think that we, as managers, do have the opportunity to just open our minds a little bit to, I guess, what is available to us.
Are you a new manager looking to build your manager toolkit? Well, the New Manager Development Program is just for you. We cover 4 modules, which is looking at what is the role of the manager, how to set yourself up as a manager, how to set your team up, and then looking into the future. We have an excellent free trial that is available to all. If you would like access to it, please visit our website today, www.manageriq.com.
Talking about upskilling people, how have you experienced upskilling yourself, upskilling others in this space that you might want to share with some managers?
It's interesting. And I want to go back a little bit to what you mentioned before around now there are all these emerging technologies that's out there. I know you had to go to like the 5-day Excel bootcamp that significantly changed your understanding towards analytics, right? So now with all these emerging technologies that's coming up, particularly the recent introduction of generative AI, right? What we might see is that my manager or the expectation manager will become more and more on asking the right questions because these tools will have increasing ability to be able to analyze. And I always had the question around how hands-on managers actually should be when it comes to these type of scenario, because we do have analysts a lot of the times in the team that's able to do a lot of analysis, which later on generative AI will probably be able to serve us. So I think the critical skill there really is turning into how do I ask the right questions? And do I have the comprehensive understanding of all the nuances that's out there? Right. And that's that point. And sorry, I diverted a little bit. And from a manager perspective, I think it's important to understand particularly if you have hiring responsibilities, to understand what kind of skill set that you are hiring for, and making sure that the roles that you are hiring for have the technical competencies. And so what I see a lot is that, particularly because I work in the HR field, right? The HR business partner roles, a lot of the role's responsibility actually involve analysis, but there's
Mm-hmm.
not really any hard requirement a lot of the times on the job description for analytics capabilities. And there's no technical test in the interview for analytic capabilities. So I think what I would watch out for these roles that's kind of not technical on the surface, but actually requires a lot of technical skills, is to add in technical questions. And some of the common questions I always use are some kind of Excel related. When a spreadsheet gets too big, what do you do, for example, which will highlight if an individual has had any hands-on Excel experiences. And the problem-solving skills will also come through candidates' answer towards these semi-technical related questions, right? So that's hiring, right? From a learning and development perspective, I would say it's always helpful to develop continuous learning in an individual. Lex, you're a continuous learner. You keep learning new things, and personally, I'm a continuous learner. I think when you have a continuous learner, or when you're able to develop a continuous learner on the team, it's very rewarding, and you don't actually need to develop data analytics skills in particular, because they would just learn it themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And
you're right.
So it's very important to look out for that learning agility as a capability that's out there as well.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to somebody, and they said that in the interview, if someone even just said, look, if I don't have the answer, I'll Google it. They're almost like, I'll hire them in the instant, because, it's around the world of information it's just so plentiful now, right? So, and I think there's been many a times in my, in my history that if I didn't know how to do something in Excel, I would just Google it, so, and whether that's now Power BI or, some of the other analytics tools that are easily available now, like, if in doubt, Google it or get on a blog, and someone will help you out, because a lot of the time that problem has been faced before. And I think that there's so much out there, and it's just a matter of spending a little bit of time. So a little bit of research, I think, can go a long way. Just anything else you'd like to touch on, I guess, on this topic, and we can see how people also, if they want to further the conversation on with you, how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm available on LinkedIn, Kinsey Li, KINSEYLI, and from, I think, outside of that, I think there's a lot of very exciting development in the field of employee experience and people analytics, and I think it's definitely an area to watch, because right now we kind of haven't really hit the critical mass, but I think we will at a certain stage. And in the future, my prediction on the field is that the field might actually merge with all the other analytics functions, like finance analytics and operations analytics or marketing analytics. Because in the future, with generative AI and all these emerging technologies coming along, the lines between functions will be blurred even further. So I think there's a lot of talks around the silos of the different functions and how that does not enable full decision making, because finance make decision based on finance data, HR make decision based on on HR data. It's very rarely that they have the overlap. But in the organization of the future, all the analytics professionals will connect together. So it might be a very much changing landscape, and good space to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess in summary, managers, like analytics is just, one part of a very full plate, So I think what we can say here is that following this conversation, we have an understanding that there is information available to all managers in any organization, be it, to do with their product, their services, their people, looking at the financials and the operations. So it's around how you're able to first access that information and then find ways either to upskill yourself or find technology that will be able to do it for you, or upskill your people to be able to weave a story out of that information to help you then make better decisions, make people-centric decisions as well. I think if we're going to align to your passion and be able to show the power of it, I think a little bit of investment in the beginning with regards to time, effort, resources, even maybe a little bit of money, will actually help managers in the long term have the structure and the data and the analytics available to make decisions in a lot easier and streamlined fashion, but also go across different functions. And this doesn't have to be just for large organizations. This is for small, medium, any manager, any organization can get across their information. And it's around, I guess, having that growth mindset where you're able to just go out there and challenge, what are the questions that you can ask that you're able to help answer, using the information that's available to you, but also, to challenge yourself around being open-minded around what is out there, not just in your own team, but more broadly across the organization, that's actually going to help you get the insights that you need. And one thing we didn't talk about as well is around how you're actually then also able to gain some information outside of your organization for like industry stats and so forth. So maybe something we'll have to get you on again at another point, and we can have a little bit of a deep dive on that, Kinsey. Anything from my summary that you think that we missed out that wouldn't be a good thing to that would be a good thing to highlight?
I think you've summarized it really well, Lex. I think when it comes to data analytics for manager, the key is data analytics really is only a tool, right? And what it actually enables is growth mindset and the willingness to be challenged. And managers need that to be able to build trust with their team members, with their stakeholders. Because if someone's really standoffish and does not have an open mind, very likely they are not going to be someone that's regarded as a excellent manager, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one thing that we didn't talk about too much as well is that if you're investing in certain stuff like technology, processes, products, services, you are able to use the information that then creates for you to show how successful that investment has been, So I think that, you're able to weave so many fantastic stories. And I wish we had more time, because we could probably share a little bit more of our stories around some of the things that we've done in the past. But I suspect that we'll get you back on, Kinsey, and we can start to share some more stories around how we've actually used the information to be able to create something that's been quite exciting for ourselves, our people, and leadership. So, but thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And once again, if you'd like to get hold of Kinsey and ask any, HR data analytics related questions, you can check her out on LinkedIn, and I'll pop it in your bio as well, Kinsey, as part of the podcast. But thanks again for your time, and let us know if you have any questions that you would like us to answer, or any skills that you would like us to deep dive on. Manager IQ are always keen to get different experts on, so that we can actually help you and build your manager toolkit. Thanks everyone. Take care and have a good day.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode. If you have any feedback or would like us to deep dive on a specific skill, please email us at hello@manageriq.com.